Hi, guys. Welcome to another exciting episode of Equilibrium, our women's health series. I'm here with Patti of Sweetwater Harmony. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
No, I'm so excited to talk to you. You're all about self-care, and this is our Valentine's Day episode. And I think like a lot of people forget about themselves on Valentine's Day. It's always about like taking someone else out to dinner, buying someone else flowers. But self-care is of the utmost importance. Do you agree?
I definitely agree with that. I'm all about self-care.
Do you have exciting plans for Valentine's Day? Are you doing all your good self-care stuff or?
I don't know. Well, I'll definitely be doing a little bit of me time and loving on myself, but ask my husband and if maybe you can give me a tip and make sure I get a necklace from Tiffany's and some chocolate, help me out.
There we go. There we go. Always gotta get something. But Patti, tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah. Well, I'm Nigerian and Liberian. I'm a queen. I have a black wide set nose. I love to smile. I'm born to laugh. That's probably not what you're asking about.
No, that's one of the reasons I reached out to you. Like, I love laughing as well. I'm always smiling. So I was like, this is gonna be my friend.
Yes. But, disclaimer, I'm not really a licensed therapist or doctor. So really, I'm just an advocate for mental health, advocate for therapy, and self-care is a top thing. It's a trend right now, but I think it's also just AKA taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental health and wellness. So I am all about that. And I've kind of made that on my mission in life to make sure that people are aware, but also they have access and understanding of what's out there for them. So that's a little bit about my background, but basically I work in tech, but I'm a mental health advocate.
Yes, we love a good advocate. So your blog is called Sweet Butter Harmony. Where did you get the inspiration for the name?
Yeah, so it was funny. I was during the pandemic, I started this blog and I was thinking, okay, life is sweet, but it's also bitter. And, I'm thinking of how can I have harmony in my life? And so it kind of just fell together one day, Sweet Butter Harmony. And everybody was thinking, hey, but you should be selling some lotions or some creams and butters or have a tea shop. And I'm like, maybe one day, but
maybe it can grow.
Exactly. Maybe one day, but that's not what it's about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So tell me a little bit about your journey and kind of how you became a self-care advocate.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like what I'm finding is that people just don't talk about some things. They don't ever bring up certain topics. It's taboo, and mental health is one of them. And especially in the Black community, and especially for Black women, we've already heard and a lot about in the last couple of years, the strong Black woman and how that can be a negative view for Black women because you have to be in this perfectionist stage and it's not really possible. And so what I was finding, especially in 2020, when the pandemic started, is that my conversations with my friends and family got a little bit deeper. And all we had was time to talk on the phone or on video. And we started talking about how people were feeling lonely. They felt this like deep sense of loneliness and they felt a lot of grief. And it would be like, okay, but you're lonely, but you live with your husband, you have 5 kids. But
right.
Still be lonely in that and feel like you're on your own and a little bit of hopelessness. And people were having grief because all around us, we saw a lot of people were dying and we were connected to a lot of people that were dying or family members and friends were dying. But also people were grieving like experiences. They were grieving their normal life. They were grieving their trip plans and maybe they were supposed to go to Greece, or in my case, I was supposed to have a wedding. And so the bachelorette party, the wedding, and all of the trips and things we had planned, all the joyous things that were coming now disappeared. But when I was researching, because I was like, why do I feel so sad about this? It's just like, it shouldn't be that bad. I'm doing well, I'm healthy, but why am I sad about this? Research showed that you can still have the same feelings of grief about these things that were happening in your life as you would if someone actually died.
Right.
So why I started Sweet Butter Harmony was just because, oh man, people are going through these like deep things and these deep emotions, but we're not necessarily talking about them. So I wanted to bring that out and be a spokeswoman for that, I guess.
Oh, I love it. And I totally agree. I think it's funny that even, people I've been friends with for like 15 plus years, like I think 2020 and even a little bit of last year kind of made us all like start sharing things that we normally wouldn't share and have these sort of deep conversations. So I love what you're doing on your blog. All the things that you're sharing on there is definitely very important. And I feel like as Black women, we do kind of take on a lot of things, but you're still expected to be very strong, and sort of not share what's going on. So I agree with all of those things. Sorry, I'm looking at all of the questions I have for you. So during your journey, and tell me, how do you stay balanced? So you said you work in tech. I'm sure you have a full life. How do you stay balanced in your life?
Yeah, that is a good question. There's a couple of things that I do, because now that I've had some major depression episodes, I realized, like, okay, this is something I have to keep track of. And this actually came from a therapist that I worked with, where she said, why don't you try creating a list of things that will really boost your mood? And, have that list to remember, like, okay, you're having a bad day. Maybe I need to take a walk, and I am a lover of walking. My husband would always be like, you seem so stressed out. Just take a 5-minute walk. I'm like, I don't want to walk. I'm so upset about XYZ. But going on that 5-10 minute walk, just being outside in nature, just moving around, suddenly I come back and it was like, oh, this wasn't that big of a problem anymore. So, I came up with my list of things that really make me feel happy and will boost my mood no matter what. And I also have a list of the things that will trigger me or make me upset or put me in a bad mood. So if I know that meeting certain people or being in certain situations are going to hit that, and I'm going to be triggered by it, then I start to think about that in advance, plan for it, or figure out what I need to do to combat that afterwards. And so that became the way I stay balanced, or at least try to stay balanced.
Those are good tips though. I need to make that list.
Yes, it's a helpful list. And I think it's so funny, because you'll think like, oh, well, I have to have this serious list, but it's not. Like, if I tell you what's on my list, or some things I think of, laughing with my sister on the phone is on my list. Going on a walk, having a date night with my husband, like us leaving the house and having a date night outside is what I'm talking about. Not an indoor home, COVID home date anymore.
Right. So many of those. Just in your sweats, eating takeout. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this isn't a date anymore. It wasn't the beginning, when I've done way too many times with you. And then just like watching a funny movie is also a thing on my list, or watching something like The Last OG. I just crack up out loud.
With Tracy Morgan.
Yes, I love that show. It is hilarious to me. So just putting on something that makes you laugh, because laughter is a cure for sure. So yeah, that's how I stay balanced.
Definitely. I love it. So you talked a little bit about, you spoke with a therapist to kind of give you this idea for this list. And you also on your blog share the process, or your process of finding a therapist. And you've spoken to quite a few. Talk to me about that. How did that go for you?
Well, when the process of finding a therapist, for me, it wasn't too hard, because I'm lucky. I'm an American who has health insurance. And so if you have health insurance, you can just look on your insurance website and find a therapist fairly easily. But when it comes to thinking of like what type of therapist I'm looking for, do I want in person or do I want virtual? I'm an advocate for all of that. I've done a little bit of everything. But what I'm typically looking for is kindness, and I'm looking for compatibility. And I'm typically finding that. I haven't had too much trouble, but I feel like getting a therapist is kind of like finding a new friend, and you're just getting to know each other in the beginning. You have to share and build that relationship. So walking into it knowing, okay, they don't know me, I'm going to have to share XYZ, and then we will become friends or become therapists and client patient. It takes some time, I guess, is the piece. But yeah, that's typically what I do.
Okay, that's good. I feel like therapists, I think we always talk about this, like, especially in the Black community, where it's something that like kind of has a stigma around it, where it's like, I don't need one. I can just talk to my friends or keep it inside. So do you typically find therapists that are similar to you? So do you look for Black women, or do you just kind of like just whoever you're vibing with at the time?
hmm I go through stages. So right now, I actually I'm seek out this time in my life. I'm seeking out Black women therapists, and I'm
Mhm.
being very specific about that. Um, but I've had therapists that look and are different ethnicities. They look very different than me. Their backgrounds are very different. Just being very transparent and honest, I've worked with Asian therapists, white therapists. I've worked with only women. I found that that is
Mhm.
something that I'm very comfortable with.
Yeah.
But when it comes to therapy, it really is about what you are comfortable with. And I, t- actually share this with all of my family, and I don't think they feel bad. I always would tell them, I think everybody needs therapy.
Yeah.
I think we all need that unbiased person that we can just share what's going on in our brain, share our everyday struggles, because therapy is not just about, I had this big traumatizing thing, abuse, and all of these pieces. It can be for that, and it's very helpful for that. But it can also just be about, I had a terrible day and my manager yelled at me and I don't know how to deal with this.
Mhm.
And you have an unbiased person who is talking to you about this and giving you coping techniques. So, okay, when something like this happens again, try this or work through that. And so I always say, I feel like your therapist can be your friend, they can be your confidant, they can just be a person and mentor in your life. It doesn't always have to be this major thing that happened, but it can also be for that. I want to make that very clear. It's very good for those pieces,
Mhm.
but it's there for anything you need. So that's my take on therapy. But again, I think anybody and everybody should.
Everybody sign up for your therapist.
Exactly.
I always have been interested. I always wanted to like become a therapist. That's just because I'm like
Mhm.
super curious. Yeah. Yeah. I want to talk to people about what's going on, but I don't know. I have like a psychology minor, and I was so fascinated every single class. I'm like, what's going on? Like inside.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think it's time for you to go back and get that.
Girl, thank you for your support. My husband would be like, stop.
That's funny.
So I know that you touched on this earlier. There is a sort of depressive state, and this is something that you talk about on your blog. What made you feel so comfortable sort of sharing that story with the world?
I don't know if I'm that comfortable with it yet. To be honest,
Okay.
I had to I had to be vulnerable because I
Mhm.
realized, like when I said the reason I started Sweet Butter Harmony was I kept hearing people going through these things, but at the same time, it was only happening in these one-on-one conversations. This
Yeah.
is not what you see on TV most of the time. This is not exciting stuff to say, I'm lonely. It's not exciting to say, I'm extremely sad, even though everything is good.
Yeah.
And, I think that it's interesting because I have a personality and I'm typically a very happy person. Like if you talk to me or my friends, you'll see me laughing and smiling in my photos. That's
Yeah.
literally how I am in real life. I'm having a
Hmm.
great day. So for me to go through this episode where suddenly I had to force smiles, I had to think about smiling. I had to turn my smile on during the Zoom calls at work. And then when the Zoom call clicked off, my smile clicked off and
Yeah.
I was depressed. And it happened for like months at a time. It wasn't just a day. It wasn't just a week. It was months. And so I realized people are going through this. It's extremely common. I think there's about 21 million people in the US had a major depressive episode just in 2020. 21 million people went through this, but we're not
Mhm.
talking about this all the time. So it's a very common thing, a common disorder or illness that people are dealing with. And we just need to make sure we're open about it so that if someone is dealing with it, they know I'm not alone. This is
Yeah.
normal. And also, okay, if they made it through this, I can too. And so that's why I decided to share. And I'll be honest, it was so funny. I shared a post on Instagram, one of the first posts where I talked about going through just like depression. And I had to call my mom because I was like, I don't know if I've ever shared this out loud before. Hey, mom, just so you know, I shared this online.
Uh-oh.
It comes up. And she's like, well, as long as you're sharing your own business, that's fine. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're sharing. But yeah, I definitely am. I'm sharing because I feel like we need to have we need to have more voices, and we also need voices of all colors to be out there. There's not always a lot of women sharing this type of information. And so that's where I come in.
Yeah, I love it. I'm obsessed with the blog. I'm going to sign up for it. Subscribe. Tell people, well, I'm interested. So you have like a lot of different things that you do for self-care. I've seen you hiking. You were like out doing fun stuff. What would you say is your favorite thing to do for self-care?
Favorite things for self-care. Let's see. Favorite fun things for self-care. So I told you a few of them. I just really like to go out and have fun. So I always say like good food and good conversation are like my favorite things in life. I've been saying this forever. So laughing and joking with my friends, just learning about their lives and having that human connection is the best thing I could ever have. If I think of a perfect day, it's spending time with people. Now, mind you, I am an extrovert, and I didn't realize how extroverted I was until the pandemic.
Oh, really? You're like, I need people. I gotta talk. Yeah.
Anyway, I became that person who goes to the coffee shop, and I'm like, I need to talk to the barista, and we're joking and we're laughing and friends. And they're like, wait, do you know each other? No, I just needed to talk to somebody and laugh with somebody. So yeah, that's one way that I take care of myself. But then I have all those other little things like, I believe that a nice hot bath with the candles is great. Getting a pedicure. I wasn't that girl who got her nails did and fingernails done on a regular basis, and now that's my thing. I'm like, yes, please massage my legs while you do the pedicure. It's amazing.
It's so funny. I didn't like, from being a child, like it was like a thing that me and my mom did where we like painted our nails together every single week. And as I got older, like I didn't realize that was like a part of self-care. Like I've kept up with it. Like every week, every Sunday, I'm like, I need to do my nails. And like if I don't know, I'm like really into it. And like I didn't realize that was a part of like self-care. Just like taking some time, setting aside, like I look forward to it. I like picking out the color. It's like a whole thing.
It's so fun. Like I got these purple nails today.
I noticed.
It's like all these little fun things you can do for yourself. But I think the key thing with self-care is you'll see on Instagram, like, hey, you need to take a long bath or go on a hike or do it. If you don't like that, don't do that. I mean, it's not self-care if you don't enjoy it. It's just really about having those moments that you can include in either your everyday, which I think it's important to have a moment in your day where you love on yourself, but also having a moment that week where, okay, I've been taking care of the kids all week, but I need to have this few hours where I go for a hike by myself. If that's what you love, make sure you have some time for that, because that's self-care. Doing the things you love.
Exactly. Put on a good Lifetime movie. That's one of my favorite pastimes.
Force my husband to watch it with me.
Right. Or don't come.
Exactly. I will enjoy it with my
love this predictable drama. I love it.
Exactly. Favorite.
Well, Patti, tell people how to find your blog and how to find you on Instagram.
Yeah, well, definitely look us up. Look me up. I'm on sweetbutterharmony.com, just as you think it's spelled. And then also on Instagram at sweetbutterharmony. And we'd love to connect with you. I'd love to connect with you and learn more about you and share more self-care tips.
Let's share these stories. We all need it. I appreciate this so much, Patti. Be sure to, everyone be sure to stay tuned for more episodes of Equilibrium. Follow Patti, follow Equilibrium. Stay healthy. Stay healthy. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.